You know, it all started on this stormy night in Willow Creek, a small town tucked away in the hills of Northern California, where the rain comes down like it's trying to wash away secrets nobody wants to face. I was driving home from my shift at the local Emma Hayes. That's me, ex-Army medic turned nurse, the kind who can't just drive by trouble without stopping when I saw the flames licking up the side of St. Mary's Church, that old stone building that's been standing since before anyone could remember, bells cracking in the heat like they were screaming for help. Without thinking twice, I slammed on the brakes, grabbed my emergency kit from the trunk, and charged in through the splintering doors, heat hitting me like a wall, smoke choking my lungs. But somewhere in there, I heard a man's voice crying out, weak and desperate, and that was all it took to push me forward. Crawling on my knees through the melting stained glass and collapsing puce colors pooling like blood on the floor, I found him pinned under a fallen beam. Father Michael Reed, our town's so-called pillar of faith, his collar smeared with soot, eyes wild with shock, muttering something that sounded like a half-forgotten prayer. I heaved that timber off him with everything I had, me ribs creaking, my jacket catching fire, and dragged him out, flames nipping at our heels, the roof caving in just as we burst into the rain-soaked night, me collapsing on the pavement, coughing up black sludge, thinking, okay, that's it, we made it. But then the sirens wailed closer, blue lights flashing, and this cop kneels down, rain dripping off his badge, and says, "Ma'am, you're under arrest for arson." Like I'd just torched the place myself after risking my neck to pull a priest out of hell. Can you imagine? Me, the one with burns crawling up my arm, hands raw from the heat, getting cuffed right there while paramedics loaded Father Reed onto a stretcher's half-conscious, eyes flickering my way, but not a word. Not even a thank you. Just this blank stare that sent a chill through me deeper than the rain. Turns out, they'd found a gas can in my trunk, emergency fuel I keep for breakdowns on these back roads, and traces of kerosene at the scene, matching what I'd supposedly used to start the blaze. Logical? Hell no, but evidence doesn't care about logic, as the DA, David Ellis, told me later in that fluorescent-lit interrogation room, his tie loose, face lined like he'd seen too many bad days. "Why were you there, Emma?" he asked, sliding photos across the table. Me car parked nearby nights before, helping a homeless kid on the steps, calling social services butt to him. It looked suspicious, like I had some grudge, some desperate motive to burn down the church and play hero. I sat there, wrists bandaged, breath shallow, thinking about my time in Afghanistan patching up soldiers under fire, never questioning if they deserved it, and now here I was, labeled the villain for doing the same damn thing. Desperation, Ellis said, makes people do strange things. Yeah, well, what about blind faith in the wrong evidence? He left me with that, the door clicking shut, and I drifted off in my cell, arm throbbing, rain pounding outside like a drum roll for whatever storm was coming next. That's when the shadow appeared at the bar's, tall guy in a leather jacket, soaked from the downpour, eyes hidden under a cap. "You don't know me," he said, voice gravelly, like it had been scraped by too many miles on the road. "But you saved my brother in Kandahar, fixed his shattered leg under mortar fire." Jake Harlan. That's me now, leader of the Rebel Angels Biker Club, and we don't forget debts like that. He slipped me a note through the bars. "He's not a priest, get out." And just like that, he vanished, boots echoing down the hall, leaving me gripping those words, heart pounding, because if Father Reed wasn't who he seemed, then what the hell had I dragged out of that fire? Outside, the thunder wasn't just weather, Anna Maria, it was engines, dozens of them, low and rumbling, shaking the station walls. 50 Harleys lined up in the rain, riders in patched leather, helmets off, staring up like they owned the night, and in a way, they did. These guys who'd ridden through wars of their own, bound by loyalty thicker than blood. The guards muttered, "What the hell are the Angels doing here?" But Jake just stood at the center, calm as stone, waiting. And suddenly, the optics shifted, the DA transferring me to a hospital burn unit under medical custody. Because half the town saw me as a hero now, the other half scared I'd exposed something rotten. That's where it really kicked off, the unraveling, you know? My lawyer, Alex Turner, showed up, sharp suit damp from the storm, sent by Jake, and we pieced it together over bad coffee. Those late-night vans at the church, unmarked, delivering donations that never made it to the shelter. Reed's charity fund always flush with cash, no questions asked. It's wrong, I told Alex. Feels like laundering, like he's washing dirty money through holy water. And Jake's guys confirmed it Reed tied to the Vargas cartel, using the church as a front for their cash, skimming for power, for control over the town that adored him, because nothing's more untouchable than a man in a collar. Motive for the fire? Burn the evidence before it burned him, maybe a rival in the cartel, or Reed himself panicking, but I got framed because I was there, the perfect scapegoat, my good intentions twisted into guilt. We dug deeper, me in that hospital bed, for dripping, watching rain streak the windows while Jake slipped me footage from an anonymous source. Grainy video of hooded guys unloading kerosene from a van marked Summit Supplies, a shell company linked to Reed's accounts. This changes everything, Alex whispered, and Ellis, hovering in the doorway, face paling, finally listened. Those vans, I've ignored tips for months, thought it was just rumors, because the cartel had fingers in local politics, buying silence with donations, manipulating the community through fear and fake benevolence. High stakes now, right? We raided their warehouse that night, me, Jake, Ellis, Alex slipping through shadows, hearts hammering, servers humming under tarps, data spilling out, transactions, emails, Reed's initials on every dirty deal, cleaning millions for the cartel to fund their grip on Willow Creek's land grabs and underground ops. But they were waiting. Gunfire erupted, bullets ripping through metal, the place exploding behind us as we fled on the bikes, rain lashing our faces, Jake's voice cutting through the chaos. Hold on, am I right, or we die? We made it to a safe house, data in hand, me trembling but fierce, realizing I'd saved a monster driven by greed, a man who'd sold his soul for power, betraying the faith he preached. Why? I demanded later, when Ellis confronted Reed in his hospital room, guarded, but cracking. For the church, Reed sneered, voice weak but venomous. To build something greater you outsiders wouldn't understand, meddling in God's work. Ellis shot back, mired in sarcasm. God's work? Or the cartel's payroll? Your ledger says otherwise, Father. Reed's eyes narrowed. You'll regret this, tearing down what holds this town together. But it was hollow, his controls slipping like that rosary from his fingers. The trial hit like a storm, front courtroom packed, reporters buzzing, Reed in a wheelchair playing victim, his lawyer spinning tales of smears and setups. But Ellis stood tall, screen flickering to life with the footage, zooming on faces. Reed's accountant, a corrupt ADA, in the crowd, gasps, rippling as the guy bolted, only to freeze on the steps, face to face with Jake and the angel's wall of chrome and thunder. Going somewhere, Jake drawled, pointing back inside, engines revving in unison, a roar that drowned the chaos, forcing the truth out. I stood then, voice steady but edged. Hope on lies isn't hopey, it's chains, Father, and you chained this whole town. Reed crumbled, charges piling on: conspiracy, laundering, arson, murder attempts, his empire ash, exposed for the power play it was, cartel ties unraveling, community reeling from the betrayal they'd funded with their own donations. In the end, as sunlight broke through the rain outside the courthouse, me stepping free, scars fading but reminders sharp, Ellis resigned his badge. Justice means seeing clear, even if it costs your job. And Jake handed me a leather jacket, patched with "Ride for the Fallen," saying, you didn't just save a life, you lit the fire that burned the lies. We rode out that evening, wind whipping past, the convoy thundering down the highway, city lights fading, me feeling reborn, not chased anymore, but chasing whatever truth waits ahead. But here's the thing that sticks with me: was Reed all villain? Or did the system twist him too? That hunger for control in a town starved for hope? Makes you wonder about the monsters we create. Or save. What do you think? Was I right to dig? Or should some secrets stay buried for the greater good? Drop a comment below. Share your take on justice, community betrayals, or that fine line between hero and outlaw. If this hit home, hit subscribe. Ring the bell. We've got more tales where courage clashes with chaos. And sometimes, the Real Angels wear leather and ride steel. Keep riding, folks.